Welcome to the Well-ish podcast, where we talk about all of the things that they should have taught you in class, but didn't.
You did.
My name is Lindsay, and I'm joined by my co-host.
My name is Kaya. I'm a student at Agnes Scott College.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Bakari B. Here representing Res Life Office. You already know what it is.
So we're here to talk all things wellness, college life. Specifically today, we're going to talk a little bit about self-care, spring break, friends.
Yes.
And so, let's kick it off.
How
because
many of us have them?
it's,
Houdini.
I mean, even before getting into that, how was y'all's weekend?
Yeah,
What
man.
y'all got going on?
It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, my weekend was cool, Got to lay off the liquor a little bit, I'm trying to hit the water a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? But it was a good weekend for sure.
What'd you do this weekend, Kaya?
I've been doing interviews and stuff and looking job hunt. Yeah. So kind of
up?
business working.
Cool.
Yeah, hope you land them all for sure.
Yeah.
Preparing to launch interviews for after.
Yeah. After I graduate,
Awesome.
I'll be graduating in May.
Awesome. Cool.
For sure.
Cool.
For sure.
We're talking spring break, but specifically traveling during spring break. Have you all had any experiences with taking trips with friends, spring break experiences at all?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I've been to Florida a lot. I mean, I feel like everybody, when you in Georgia or in Atlanta, your spring break spot usually gonna be somewhere in Florida. So a lot of my friends are the PCB. So we always went either PCB or I usually went Pensacola or something. I like the Gulf Water. The Gulf Water a little better than me. So yeah, I always went to Florida for sure. Just hung out somewhere else. So yeah, I always went with a couple friends or even with an ex of mine or something like that. So
Yeah.
I always had I would say great experiences on spring break for sure.
I remember growing up and watching MTV Spring Break. Do you remember that?
Man, what? The spring bling,
Spring Bling.
yeah.
But then when I got to college, I never
It's
took a
nothing
trip
like
on spring
that.
break. I
Jeez.
never traveled with my friends on spring break, any of that. That
It's
didn't
nothing like
happen
that.
I
for me.
feel like spring break is only like that if you go to Miami.
Yeah, Miami, huh?
Miami is college culture world for
Mm.
spring break. Everybody goes to Miami or Panama.
Panama, okay.
Yeah.
You made it out of Miami with your friends?
No,
I heard the
I've
girl
never-
trips. Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You never been. Okay, my bad.
I've never
My bad.
been, but from what I hear from my friends or on social media, normally the girls' trips to Miami, you don't come back friends. Unfortunately, from what I heard. So
So
Yeah. I think it's
Nice.
true. I mean, I wasn't in college, but I did take a girls trip to Miami,
okay.
and I am not friends with any of them anymore.
What happened?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I don't know
Yo.
what it is about Miami.
yeah.
Yo, nah.
Yeah.
What's going on with Miami? What's happening with y'all just not
So
vibing? What's the-
a financial thing, because I know for most girls, it's oh, so and so ain't never got money, so
Damn.
that's what happened, or they ended up sleeping with the same guy.
Yikes.
on the trip?
Yeah,
oh, that's
it happens.
wild
It happens.
stuff.
If you getting drunk,
Oh, y'all in
That
Miami
much,
going
yeah.
get down. Okay. Let me find
It's running up
out.
another notch. I feel like it's something about being there with other girls. And I don't know if this is true for male friend groups, but I did grow. It was probably 8 of us. One, never traveled with 8 people. That's a lot of girls to be
Okay.
in one space.
Okay.
And it wasn't a financial thing. It really just came down to people butting heads and us just falling out. And it was very clear before we left Miami, the friendships were done.
Oh.
So then
dang.
imagine the plane rides home.
right?
Awkward.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a big matter of who you travel with, because you can't travel with everybody
It's
at
true.
all.
Y'all was in the same
Mm-hmm.
hotel?
Yeah, we were.
In one room?
Wow,
It's 80 y'all in, I ain't trying to get in
Oh, it
y'all
was
business.
suites. It was
okay.
suites. Yeah.
I'm about to say y'all in here wilding. Ladies, don't go to Miami. It's not working out for y'all. Stay away from the girl trips.
So I guess if you can't get out of town for spring break, if you can't go to Miami or PCB, what else can you do? How else can you maybe check out, rejuvenate, take care of yourself on spring break if you're not traveling? What do y'all think?
Yeah. I think it depends on what you like. Especially if you here in the city. Or even a city that's like Atlanta. You can hike somewhere if you like nature. You can go outside, go to Piedmont, kick it. If you got friends, you know what I'm saying, do something or go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the sky's the limit for real in Atlanta just because there's so much you can really do.
True.
On different days. So yeah.
Kaya, what you got?
I feel like the same thing. I more so like sleep during the break because it's like I do so much during school.
Yeah.
My mind is like, when are we gonna sleep? And so
Yeah.
that's my time to catch up on sleep, visit family. And typically, like during spring break, like sometimes my family, they go to the beach, they go to Florida. So that's my time of rejuvenation.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have like a balance, being able to do both, having fun, resting. I find myself somewhere in the middle of doing both. But college time, I was just happy to not have class.
Where did you go to school at, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to school in Richmond, Virginia, at Virginia Commonwealth University.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
30,000 students, huge school.
Yeah.
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 But I just know that my spring breaks did not look like how they looked on MTV.
Was it much to do? In I guess in comparison to Agnes, was it much to do around where you were in college? I feel like that's what a lot of, at least in my perspective, I don't know if it's the same for you, Kai, but I feel like a lot of people at Agnes be feeling like they can't do much while they here.
Yeah, it was a lot to do.
Okay.
My campus was like set in the middle of a city. And so
Okay.
there was a ton to do. But that feels unique because Agnes is not like that at all.
Yeah, Agnes is not a party school at
Right.
all, but there's stuff to do outside
Right.
of it.
Right.
We're in Atlanta, so
Right.
it's like, and then the thing is, you also have to like get out and like
Yeah.
be in Atlanta and find stuff to do.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not
real.
gonna like show up in your face. Like you have to
Yeah.
look for these things.
Yeah.
That's true.
100%.
So yeah.
100%. That's real.
So along the lines of traveling in spring break, I want us to start talking about this story that has been all over the news. There was a University of Pittsburgh student that traveled to Dominican Republic for spring break this year. So this just happened.
Yeah.
And the student is missing, has been missing now since March 6th.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have been able to see this story or heard a lot about it, but I think the reason why it's getting so much national attention is because this student traveled with friends, which, you know, is the ideal way to travel. She wasn't alone.
Right.
These were other students from University of Pittsburgh. They were together on this resort in DR, and now all of a sudden she's missing. Some people are presuming that she's maybe drowned. What are y'all's thoughts about that in those types of situations that happen? On what should be a fun, exhilarating trip, right?
Yeah. Right.
Right.
And it goes sideways.
So sideways.
Yeah. What you think, Kai?
Well, I'm really thinking about what her friends were doing. It all comes down to who you surround yourself with. Where were they at the time? Because I remember seeing on the news that the resort staff, they were like, yeah, she was last seen on the beach with her friends. Where's the statement about her friends? What were they doing? Did anyone question them? Who she was with at the time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me think about other stories I've seen in the past where, and most of these are like, I would say black people, black women who have gone somewhere with somebody, drowned in a lake or gotten killed or, you know, whatever the case may be. And this person is a person of color. So it makes me always think like, why is it always those kind of people who have like had these issues or go somewhere and they wind up missing and things of that nature. So I've seen, you know, other stories that's similar to this one. And it sucks because it's like the family, are they going to get that closure? You know what I'm saying? The friends, to Kaya's point, like, what were y'all doing? Where were y'all at? You know what I mean? To lose your friend and almost like, I don't know. I'm just be thinking about her. Like, did she feel safe? Did she feel secure? You know what I'm saying? While she was out there on the beach, or she probably was like letting her guard down and then something happened. It's so many questions that you could really ask, but it's like, why is this, to me, happening to like these kind of people, you know, from different cultures and stuff? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a crazy situation for real, for real.
One thing that we used to always live by in college, and this was going to like a house party, a link up, anything, is if we come together, we leave together.
Right.
That was like the mantra. That was the motto.
Yeah.
That you know, that made room for accountability. Like if Kaya and I are coming somewhere together, we're always going to leave together.
Yeah.
And I think that if you lose sight of that, it's really easy for people to kind of slip through the cracks.
What do you say about people that come into the situation that maybe are not like in this your friend group or maybe like a friend of the other friend? So I asked that because I know the guy, she was last seen with a 22-year-old male from a different college. So I guess, because I know we were kind of talking about this off camera, but to that point, what do you think about people who bring like other folks into the situation? Does that like mess the dynamic up? Can it be a good thing, a bad thing? I'm wondering like, what does that look like to you from your perspective?
That for me is why the communication is so important, so that we can all be on the same page about expectations. Because
Sure.
okay, maybe we meet somebody out there, or you meet someone out there. Is it okay for them to now join our group?
Yeah.
If they do join our group, is it then okay for me to leave with them? Like, we all
Right.
have to
Right.
know what we're expecting,
Yeah.
so that when that does happen, we can move still as a group and stay safe.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I feel like
Question for you. How would you stay safe on a trip like this?
how would I stay safe is I typically don't go to like functions, parties with big groups of people.
Gotcha.
I probably go with my main 2 or 3 friends at most.
I feel it.
The people that I trust.
Yeah.
And also, I would just make sure I tell people, my boyfriend, my mom, or anyone else I know, like, hey, I'm going to be here at this time. I'm very good at updating people of
Yeah.
where I'm at all times
I feel it.
when I go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it starts. But I believe the girl didn't tell her parents or let her parents know that she was doing this.
Right.
So that's where she went wrong. Like, that's where it went wrong.
Yeah.
I feel
That's
you.
where,
I think another thing too around staying safe is like knowing limits. So this is something else that you learn a lot when you're in college. You're drinking for the first time, or maybe, engaging in other recreational drugs, doing things for the first time. You don't always know how things are going to affect you.
Yeah. That's real.
And so there was some surveillance footage even from the hotel of like her vomiting and speculation of her being drugged. But another way to stay safe is to like know your limits and to not drink to a point that you're losing control or you're no longer coherent. That's really hard to learn. Figuring that out can be difficult for a lot of students,
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
That's real. Question for y'all as women. As I know Agnes particularly is usually a women's college. Is it okay for you all to, on a trip, to invite someone or even a guy that y'all just met maybe into the mix? So I know like that's usually a stigma at Agnes, as we talk about men a lot and we run into those issues with men being on campus and things of that nature. So I'm wondering, like, in this situation or a similar situation, is it okay for a guy you just met to kind of come in the mix, or even for y'all to go off with that person?
No, it's not okay at all. And I actually had a friend go through that. So our first year at Agnes, they always take us on these study abroad trips to different countries.
Right.
And my particular friend, she went to a Caribbean island, and her and like 2 other friends, they all like knew each other. And at a certain point of the trip, the staff and professors, they let us like venture off and, explore the city that we're in.
Dope.
And she had told me that one of her friends actually like met the guy at the club and tried to bring them back to the hotel, and she was like, no, like, get him out of here. What is wrong with y'all? You know, we just, 18, 19 at the time, like, we're still freshly young, and they had been drinking, and she was like, no, get them out of here. So it's a big no-no.
Gotcha.
And it's also like, normally, like, the people you party with, you always have to watch out for like who you're drinking with, including like friends and stuff, because you never know what could happen to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So who in your circle very much matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Agreed. What you think?
Well, is you telling that story is reminding me of a time, and this wasn't in college, this was in my early 20s, but it reminds me of a time where I was out in a city with a small group of girlfriends, women that I trusted, women, who I saw as like-minded, well-to-do, smart women, but one of them took a drink from a guy, and the drink ended up being drugged. And she was the only one that was having like this reaction to the drinks. All of us were fine.
Yeah.
And we were able to determine that she got drugged.
Dang.
Beyond that, after reaching out to the establishment and pushing the story, this had happened to a lot of young women that came to this particular club.
Wow.
And it's just so scary because you're out trying to have a good time and you're aware and you're not alone, and something like that could still happen to you.
Yeah.
So to your question, I would say no, it's not okay to allow that extra person, male or female, that we don't know, to join the group or to go off by themselves,
Yeah.
you know, with someone else from our group. But again, like having those conversations beforehand so that we're on the same page about if it does happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like rules, almost like you put your drink down at a function and leave it without, you know, having it being attended. You're not going to go back later and drink it. You pour it out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's real.
Yeah.
But then what happens when the friend is like, but I want him to come back to the room? Like, you blocking.
That's a great question, actually.
That is a great question.
Then what?
What happens? What do y'all do? What do y'all say in that moment?
It's
'Cause
just, this sounds bad, but I'm going to say it. But it kind of gives you, like, you fuck around and you're going to find out. Like, you want to be hard-headed
There it is.
and not make sure you're safe and others around you are safe. You're going to find out. Like, and that's, it sounds so terrible saying that out loud, but it that's how I feel like you got to learn one way or another.
That's real.
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess
For
my
sure.
thing is like, I'm okay with you being mad at me. I'm okay with you telling me
For sure.
that I blocked or you don't, whatever. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gonna appreciate it later. They ain't gonna tell you then.
Yeah.
But they gonna tell you later. Probably sometime after, like, yeah, you actually was looking out for me. I appreciate that.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts around safety while traveling? Any other thoughts around the study, the student we were talking about?
Go ahead, my fault.
Not necessarily a student, but this situation also reminds me of another incident that happened like last year, I believe. It was a group of friends going to like, I think Las Vegas or California or something like that. It was Mexico. They went to Mexico. It was 6 of them. And when they got to the hotel, the girl who like they threw it for, it was her birthday, they beat her up.
Yeah.
Shanquella Robinson.
So
Yep,
exactly.
yeah.
And it was premeditated. Like they were gonna bring her here for her birthday and beat her up. And that kind of shows you that like you gotta watch like who's in your circle, who truly has your best interest at heart.
Yeah. And
Like,
I was about to say, definitely overseas too, because the laws are different everywhere. So I really got to understand, like, where you at. Somebody go missing. I know the guy, he was being held in, like, custody and stuff. And, of course, that's not our jurisdiction, is the U.S. So you may, I don't know, go to jail or you may be sitting doing time and stuff. So people just got to be mindful of, like, where you at and the decisions you making and stuff, especially when you go overseas. It could get tricky. So got to be
Right.
careful.
I kind of want to stay here for a bit, right? Because there's this birthday trip being planned. You're thinking you're going with your friends.
Yeah.
Then to find out that this was premeditated and they ended up killing.
yeah, murdering
They
you.
murdered
Like,
her.
Yeah.
How do we even get to that point where we're surrounded by these people that we think are our friends
Yeah.
Yeah.
that want the worst for us?
Right.
Any thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
It's tough, man.
I think it's just a matter of like watching the signs and using some discernment, because there had to be something that led up to that point and it was just ignored. Because how do you let 5 of your friends, your best friends, close friends, whatever you want to call them, do that to you?
I mean, and it sounds like she
See.
was really caught off guard too. It sounds
Yeah.
like, because I remember this story and I remember like following it. She thought that they were her friends, right?
Yeah.
I think that she used her own judgment and vetted these people in her own way,
Yeah.
and it felt like safe enough for her to go,
For sure.
but it wasn't.
And then same
Right.
thing, this leads me back to the girl in the Dominican Republic. Where were her friends? And that kind of and I'm not trying to make any allegations, but it kind of seems like they maybe set her up or like didn't care if something happened to her. Because in all reality, like if it's any of your friends, anybody you know, you would, almost want to like make sure you're like your friend. Like if something happened to your friends, you're going to go out of your way to look for them, help, be in interviews, be like send out a search party for that person.
For sure.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I would say boundaries, man. I know that's what we've been talking about a lot, but boundaries and that safety and security, like Are these people really your friends, or they just people you hang with and kicking with? Did you see something before that was a sign and you kind of ignored it or downplayed it because you still want to have that relationship?
Right.
It's a lot of them things you really got to pay attention to, especially when traveling. I would always suggest people to travel local first with somebody, just to see if it can work and see if they like cool enough you can take them overseas somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Because again, like going overseas with somebody, you stuck there, like you there with them. So if y'all get into an argument or something happen, we in Jamaica, like we stuck. You know what I mean? Or we in, I don't know, Ireland somewhere, we stuck. You know what I'm saying? So how do I address this conflict with somebody where it don't arise, or how can we have a good time without having those conflicting issues? So I don't know. I hate that for Ms. Robinson because it was tough for her because it's like that should have never happened to you. But it just sucks, man, that people got ulterior motives and stuff with different things. So, yeah.
And again, this is the podcast that we're talking about the things that don't come up in class but should. Yeah. And I think one of those things is boundaries.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. This is something that's relevant in friendships, relationships. What do you all think about boundaries, where they should be drawn within like the context of friendships?
Yeah. I think boundaries should just be talked about. I think going back to your point about communication, like stuff just got to be talked about, especially if you don't know your boundaries or boundaries are being explored or being like newly named. Yeah. I think it's cool to like talk about that with your friends. And if not, like to me, they're not really your friends. You can't speak on it. So I think you definitely got to talk about it for sure. I see that a lot with like our roommate situations and stuff, where people are trying to like find a roommate, you know, and we're in a housing selection process right now, and they don't know how to address conflict or they don't know how to talk about different things. So it's like, how do you get to be with somebody and live with them for, 6, 8, 10 months?
Right.
How can you be with that roommate or that person and not address these conflicts and not talk about these different things? So yeah, I think it's vital, man. It's vital just to have that communication for real. You got to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be uncomfortable, but you got to do it.
Along those lines, since we're talking about like boundaries within the context of roommates, have you all, or can you share any like crazy stories or experiences with roommates, with, having to share space? Does that, anything come up?
Yeah, it does. So... And thank God I haven't had any bad experiences because I've had really good roommates since being at Agnes, and it's only because like I know these people and we have good friendships. But as far as from like what I've heard amongst like my class and stuff, most people, like the main issue is like conflict. They don't know how to deal with simple, like it starts off simple as I want the AC down at a certain point during the time of day or night. And then it'll turn into something bigger and they clash all because of that one small little reason where they could have communicated, hey, I want the AC or the heat turned down at whatever time of the day. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then also, as far as like other situations that have happened that I've heard are like, some people have like their roommate like relationship issues, like I've heard someone has slept with another roommate's significant other, and that that's a whole nother situation. But they clash, obviously, or there's immediate like envy or animosity, and that's how women are. Unfortunately, like there's immediate animosity towards each other for whatever reason. But yeah, those are some of the issues that I can, Yeah.
What you got? You got any crazy stories?
I got one.
Yeah, give them up.
When I was an RA, and shout out to Manny. Man, if you watching this, you a sucker still. I had a roommate named Manny, man, and I remember I came back from my ex room and he had used my clippers.
Oh.
And I was like, before I knew it, I said, "What the fuck going on with you? Like, you straight?" You know what I mean? He was like, "Nah, I thought it was cool. Like, clippers out here." I'm like, bro, like you shaving your underarms, all that kind of. Man, I had to throw them away, dog. So it be stuff like that. Is like, even though I probably could have handled it better, it be stuff like that. Is like sometimes people don't be understanding boundaries, and people don't be understanding other people's belongings, and it's like, why would you do that to somebody else's stuff and then not talk to them about it first. You know what I mean? Like, if you needed clippers, bro, I could get you some. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about stuff like that. Like, if you struggling, I go get you some. You didn't ask, and it's like you just took it upon yourself to do some shit. I was like, oh hell no, I gotta figure something else out, G. So yeah, I had a that was a bad. That's probably like the worst experience I had as having a roommate. But it be stuff like that. It's just like just talk, bro. You know what I mean? We could have figured it out, but now we got a whole conflict because you thought something was cool when you could have just asked. So
yeah, talking is important. So my story kind of comes back to like we should have talked too, because it was my freshman year in the dorm, and I'm an only child, so I'm always used to living alone. So I knew it was going to be a challenge for me. But this situation was crazy because my family come to visit me on campus like months after moving.
Okay.
And I have like young cousins with me, and we walk into the room, and my roommate and her girlfriend are like engaging in the room as we walk in. And my family is with me, and like children are with me.
Yikes.
Right.
Oh, that's tough. Oh, man.
And that was just really hard to come back from.
I bet.
Yeah, that was very hard to come back from.
I bet.
Because, I mean, people, deserve privacy, and yes, it was her room, but I didn't tell her, hey, my family is coming. So it was, a lack of communication. But to walk in and to see that, it's something like I'll never forget. I'm sure my little cousins still remember it, too.
For sure.
So, yeah, crazy roommate stuff
Yikes.
can be make or break to, I think, the undergraduate experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
So what about other things, like, regarding sharing space? What about, like, okay, we can't share clippers. But what about food? Like, are we okay with sharing food? Are we putting our names on everything in the fridge?
Yeah.
Where do we draw the line with that? Because
So
don't touch my food.
I currently, in my housing that I stay in, I do live with like 7-8 other people, and we do have to share a fridge now. But it's a matter of like, what's it called? Of like labeling our food, and also we've came up with a system recently that was like, okay, we know everybody uses like laundry detergent, they use sugar or they use butter, so we've made some stuff like communal. And that's helped us a lot recently. I don't know if all the other dorms do that, but my dorm does. So
Nice.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that out there.
I know my freshman year when I lived in one of the freshman dorms, a lot of people, we only had that one fridge. Unless you had a mini fridge in your room.
Yeah.
It was a fridge and like it's like a mini kitchenette in our hallway, and everybody would put like all their snacks, all their frozen foods, and the thing was like some of it would get tossed out if it's in there for a certain amount of time, or people would purposely toss it out to piss other people off. So it's very petty behavior.
I think it's dope that y'all came up with a system though. I was saying I doubt it because I see all the conflicts, and we, of course we do all the room changes and stuff, but I think it's dope that y'all came up with a system. Y'all actually talked about doing that. A lot of people can't even get to the conversation to have it, to actually do something. So I think it's dope that y'all as the LLC even sat down and was like, this is what we want to do. That's cool. That's cool.
Which really just requires some communication.
It's a little bit, man.
And even though, I'm not gonna lie, but it's like my housing, they like a few people have issues, but it's regarding like cleanliness and stuff, and that's another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a matter of us just coming together and communicating.
Yep. We want to thank y'all for joining and checking out this episode of the Well-ish Podcast. My name is Lindsay, and you can find me at Life Matters Empowerment.
My name is Kaya, and you can find me at Kaya03. That's KYKYA03.
You already know it's your boy Bakari B. You can find me at Juice Boy B. That's boy with an I. Appreciate y'all. Gone.
Don't see it for what it was. I see what it's gotta be.